Hello everybody and welcome to our Ealing Children's Services YouTube channel. My name is Nya and I'm a speech and language therapist that works in the Ealing Speech and Language Therapy team. Today, together with my colleague Maddie, who you will meet in a few slides, we're talking to you through ways to support your child's early communication skills. It's lovely to have you here and thank you for choosing to watch this workshop today. So here are our aims for this video workshop: to explore the link between communication and complex needs, and how to help with communication at home.
So a very important question to start us off is, what is communication? Communication includes spoken words, like when we're talking, but it also includes lots of visual things as well. So we communicate with more than words. We use gestures, we use facial expressions, writing, even the way we pay attention to each other. You know, communication is the way that we look at each other, how we share a moment, or how we respond in other ways that don't require words. It's also very much a two-way process, where one person gives a message and the other one receives it and is there to understand it and maybe respond. Communication covers lots of areas, so attention listening, understanding language, expressing yourself, social interaction, play and pronunciation, so speech. And we're going to cover a lot of these areas in more detail later. And it's also just very important that you're observing your child. The way that they communicate will be unique. So what they're communicating for and how are they doing it is really important things to think about. As we said before, every child communicates in their own way, and for children with complex needs, there may be a few extra things that shape how they connect with others. That first way could be thinking and learning, so cognitive skills. Some children may need more time to learn and remember new things. They might benefit from extra supports or different ways to share and receive messages, such as using pictures, signs, or real objects. The next one is movement, so thinking about physical needs. Moving around, exploring and playing with toys may be trickier if you have movement difficulties. Muscles used for speech or other ways of communicating might also be affected. If it's harder to reach for or hold things, it can mean fewer chances to practice communication through play. But there are lots of ways we can help make those communication opportunities possible. The last main consideration is time spent in hospital, so children with medical needs. Time spent in hospital or needing rest can mean fewer moments for play. Understandably, medical needs often have to come first, which can make communication practice less frequent. Children might also have less energy, so shorter, gentler opportunities for interaction can be especially useful. When we understand the ways that needs can shape communication, we can find ways to adapt, so every child has a voice and can feel connected, valued, and understood. You can think of this umbrella as showing all the areas that can be linked to a child's communication. Each section of the umbrella shows a type of difference: visual, hearing, learning, physical, emotional, and medical, some of which we just talked about in the previous slide. These areas can influence each other. If a child has a difference in one area, it can influence their communication. Sometimes a child might have more than one of these differences at the same time. So, for example, a child who is hard of hearing may also find it harder to learn new words or understand instructions. A child with a physical difference may have fewer opportunities to explore or play, which can change their interactions. When we recognise that all these areas are connected, we can better understand why communication might be a bit trickier for a child, or might be different for a child, and we can adapt our ways of supporting them to help their strengths and their areas of need and difference. So we've now talked about the link between communication and complex needs. I'm now going to hand over to Nya, who's going to start us off with talking about how to help with communication at home.
How to help at home with attention and listening. Paying close attention is important to allow information, speech sounds, words, nonverbal information to be taken in and understood. To help our children develop attention listening skills, we have some top tips to keep in mind. Get down to your child's eye level. Being physically close and at eye level helps the children feel more engaged. Watch what your child does. Pay close attention to what they're interested in or focused on. This gives you clues on how to follow their interests and keeps their attention. Respond by copying. Try to mirror what they're doing, or whether it's a movement, a sound, or how they're playing with a toy. When you copy them, it shows that you're interested in what they're doing, which keeps them engaged. Pause often. Giving pauses allow them a chance to respond, react, or make the next move. It creates a gentle rhythm of interaction and helps them build focus. And remember, keep it fun. Playful, enjoyable interactions keep their attention for longer. When both of you are having fun, they're much more likely to stay focused and engage. These strategies make listening and attention build a fun experience that helps strengthen your connection and their focus. Sharing attention. Some ideas how to support children share their attention in a moment with someone else are ready, set, go games, cause and effect toys. This can be a good starting point. These are toys where you press and something happens, such as pushing a button and an animal pops up. Choose toys that your child shows interest in. Remember to make it exciting and pause to build that anticipation. Other ideas include blowing bubbles and letting them go, or hide something under a blanket and do a big reveal. How to help at home with play. Doing fun activities that help you use your imagination, learn, and share enjoyment with others. The key to play is to follow your child's lead. You can be your child's favorite toy. People games are simple, repetitive games that need 2 people and no toys. You'll be doing all of these all the time, but it's important to think about how powerful they can be. The best part about people games are that they have a simple structure that is played the same way each time. This means your child can learn them easily, get used to what's going to happen, and build on their skills each time that they play. Remember to incorporate the previous strategies that we talked about, such as anticipation and pausing. Examples of people play include tickling, peekaboo, chasing, and singing and dancing.
We're now going to look at some ways that we can help understanding at home. When we say understanding, it's knowing what words mean and how they fit together in a sentence to make sense when people talk or write. Some children need extra support to understand what's happening in their day, and there's lots of ways that we can help with this. It could be that we use physical objects. So as you're changing activity, you would show them an object to show that you're changing the activity. You'd want to choose small movable items that really clearly show an activity. For example, a spoon may be something that you use to say that it's dinner time, if you're often using a spoon at dinner time. Or a toy car might represent that it's time for them to play upstairs. It's really important that you keep these items in a specific place, like a basket or a bag, so they're easy to find and use consistently. We don't want to be changing the type of spoon that we're using to show dinner time, because then the child has to learn lots of different spoons all mean dinner time. So if we just use one, it's easier. So let's say that they're finishing playing. What you would do is you would take the spoon and you put it in their hand, or you would show it to them and say, oh, it's dinner time, and give them time to process that the change is coming. It might be that they like to hold it to process the change. We want to make sure that the toys or the objects, are really personal. So picking objects that have real meaning for your child that they use regularly. So for example, you might want to use their favourite cup to show that it's time to have a drink, or a bowl, like a favourite bowl, or the bowl that they always use to show that it's time for breakfast. Another way that we can support understanding of routines is through now and next boards. These work for children who can focus on and understand pictures or symbols. If your child's not quite there yet, or you're not sure, then objects work really well. So please follow that advice. So how it works with the now and next board is you show an activity that's happening now and what will be happening next. So the example here, now is lunchtime, next is going out. And we would say that to our child while showing them the now and next board. When the now is finished, you take the picture off from the board and you place it in a special box or an envelope that shows that the activity is finished. You then move the next picture, the going out, onto now to show that that is the current activity. And you'd put a new one onto the next, so whatever you would be doing after going out. You really want to try and involve your child by letting them move the pictures to help their understanding of what is happening, if possible. Maybe they can complete the entire change that I just described, or maybe you get them just to focus on one part. So maybe when you take lunch off to show it's finished, they can put it in the box to give them that sense of closure. These different techniques really help make routines more predictable and to help children manage transitions and reduce uncertainty, to make them feel that they understand more of what is happening and make it easier for them to follow. So total communication is a way that we can support children's understanding. Total communication just means that we're using lots of ways to communicate, not just spoken word. It's about valuing all the forms of communication and accepting them too. So if your child is using other ways to communicate with you that aren't speaking, then we value and accept those too, rather than placing the emphasis on just talking. So that can be lots of different things, like the pictures show here. It could be, for example, objects, photos, and pictures. So me showing a cup to offer a drink. It could be using body language, facial expression, gesture. So, if you're sad, you can show that in a really exaggerated way with your body by slumping it down, by frowning. And you can use gestures to show things. Well, like when people are talking, sometimes they use lots of hand movements to communicate things. As well, there's also Makaton or other signing systems that you can use, and these help show or represent the words that you're saying, so you sign whilst you're speaking. And for some children, they might be using electronic or digital devices. One thing I would just say for those is speaking to a speech and language therapist, because they are really personal to each child. So if this is something that you think your child might need, please speak to a speech and language therapist about it, specifically for your child. Okay, this is the last bit that we're going to talk about for understanding. So stories can really help communication. They're a wonderful way to share language and communicate and connect with your child. And when we make them sensory and interactive, they become even more powerful for building communication. So we want to bring the story to life with the senses. Add sights and sounds and smells and textures to help your child connect with the story. Visuals stay in a child's mind longer and they give them something to focus on too. It gives them direct experiences, so if you give them something they can touch or smell or hear, it makes the story more engaging and meaningful. So in the example of we're going on a bear hunt, we can use things that we can just find out in our kind of local community or environment. So we go to the park, we could pick up some grass and have it in a bag, so when it comes to the grass part, they can put their hands in the bag and feel the grass, they might smell the grass. Mud you can make with cocoa or paint with flour and a water mix. You can use sticks again that you can collect from the park. For the snow, you can use the bubbles, the list goes on. We also want to with the story, so it's not just about reading it word for word. We don't need to read the words exactly. We follow you can follow your child's interests. So notice what they're looking at within the story or pointing to or touching and talk about that. So if they really enjoy the smell of the grass, we're like, smells great. So just use phrases that they are kind of going to be interested in. It's really okay if you wander away from the text. Your child's interest is the best guide and the best support to learn new words. We want to also keep language simple, so using short phrases of maybe 1 to 2 words that match the moment. So don't worry about telling the whole story, just offer clear examples of language that they can hear and copy. So, ooh, scary. Ooh, sticky for the mud or something. Just keeping it really simple. It's also great to keep it interactive with those objects that you're using. So please remember that as the main take-home point. And the goal isn't to finish the book, it's to create shared moments of connection and give your child chances to hear, see and experience new language. So it might be that if their attention can't focus for the whole story, that's absolutely fine. And actually the more that you repeat the story, as long as your child still enjoys it, the better to really secure that language and communication. Okay, we're now going to talk about how to help at home with expression. So again, not just spoken words, but any means that we can to support a child to share their thoughts, their needs, their feelings. And this can be, again, with spoken language, but it could also be through making faces, using signs, using pictures. And it's all about creating opportunities within your daily kind of interactions. We're not giving you lots of extra stuff to do. To help our children practice communication, we need to give them extra opportunities to interact with us throughout the day. The more opportunities they have, the more that they can learn. And remember, there's lots of different ways to communicate. So this isn't just about teaching spoken words. It can be about teaching new gestures like pointing or waving. It could be about showing new facial expressions like smiling or frowning, or sounds or signs, or using a picture to show what you want. But there are lots of different ways that we can do this within daily routines. The first piece of advice is around using OWL, so observe, wait, listen. This is about giving your child time to show you what they want. So they might spin a toy and then look to you for help to spin it again. And that's where you can input a word or a sign, so you can go, oh, help, to show them that that's something that they can communicate with as well as looking. And it's important that we always accept the communication they give. So if they don't go help back, that is absolutely fine because they've still communicated it. We're just showing them new ways that they can do it. We might want to offer choices. So hold up items whilst we're saying the words. So if you're offering a toy, ball, bubbles, and pause and wait for them to respond, either by looking or by pointing, by reaching, or maybe they'll say the word or they might say the first sound. We could do other things as well, like do something unexpected. So make a small playful change to prompt a response. So for example, you might put a sock on your hand when getting dressed. Now, with all of these strategies, it's really important to consider that sometimes children might like certain ones and they might not like others. They've all got their own character or different preferences. So let's say they don't like it if you put a sock on your hand because it's not what you're supposed to do, then we can skip that strategy and try the other ones. And there's lots of different ways that we can create opportunities. And once you get started, you'll think of your own that work for your child. But other simple ideas could be pausing unexpectedly during a favourite song or a game and see how your child reacts. If they might try and continue the song, or they might look at you to be like, oh, what's happening? You could maybe give a small amount of a toy or a snack and wait for your child to show that they want more. So there's lots of different ways that we can offer these opportunities or create the opportunities. And everyday routines, meal times, play, getting dressed, they are all perfect moments for building communication. The aim isn't to test your child, but to gently create chances for them to express themselves in their own way.
How to help with emotions. Being able to manage your feelings, even when they're big, can help you stay calm and make good choices. We experience different types of emotions every day, from happy, sad, angry, anxious, fear, and more. Children with complex needs can have difficulties understanding how they feel and how to manage them when things happen around them. Emotional regulation is the ability to manage our emotions. Emotional regulation is a skill we learn as we grow up. Becoming dysregulated can impact on our behaviors. Children with complex needs usually require the support from adults to regulate their emotions. Over time, we want to support our children to self-regulate or communicate when they need help to. Keep a regulation diary to understand what can trigger strong emotions for your child, including events, objects, places, activities, and people. So now we've finished our 2 aims, the link between complex needs and communication, and how to help at home. We know you're doing so much already for your child, and a little goes a long way. We wouldn't expect you to remember everything from today, but if you just remember one thing to apply, think about a strategy you'd like to try today. Add in the strategies over time into your daily routine. You can do this.
And if you are looking for more training or information on communication, we have you covered. We have lots of workshops for parent carers and Ealing practitioners via our Facebook page. So these are our kind of live workshops. We've got our recorded workshops via YouTube, and we also have for Ealing practitioners, Ealing CPD online with lots of trainings. If you live or work in Ealing, you are welcome to get in touch with us. See the descriptions box for details on how to contact us and also for some useful links. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.